Hello?
Hello?
Hey, can you hear me?
You are so quiet. Could you turn your mic up a little bit?
Oh shit. Okay, hold on. Um,
I'm pumping you on my end. I'm pumping the volume.
is is this good?
That is phenomenal. In fact,
Okay.
now I'm gonna turn you down a little bit on my end. There we go.
Okay, sorry.
No, not at all. How you doing?
Good, how are you? Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Thank you for coming on.
Isn't
Actually,
that the is that the thing you're supposed to say when you go on these
depends on the relative levels of clout. I think I'm actually supposed to
Okay.
be paying you for this appearance.
Oh,
So,
okay.
um,
All right, sweet.
it's been a while since we've talked, hasn't it? We last talked when I was like in my old apartment. It's been like 5 months.
Yeah, now you got the whole new setup and everything. Looks good.
Yeah, thanks for the bump. By the way, that's all comes in every day. The shoe fans pouring into my Streamlabs donations. Here you go,
I
Vosh,
know.
a pittance for your efforts.
I know. I did an audience survey on my new side channel and it's like have I changed your mind about anything? That was one thing. And so many of the responses were, yeah, you introduced me to Vosh and now I'm a fucking socialist. I'm like, oh shit,
Oh
like
shit! Wait,
what
fuck.
is happening? Oh god.
Next year, you check your Discord, and there are people like being unironically like doxxed and guillotined at their house. Like, wait,
No.
shit, should have been careful.
No, like no joke. Like half my audience is more left than me now. I'm like scared. Like what is happening?
But I guess we better
It's
pull you farther, huh?
it's no, it's funny. But yeah, a lot of it's there's a big crossover. It's interesting.
Yeah. So speaking of your particular political affiliation, what do you go like? What do you? How do you term yourself? Like a suck dem, or how do you?
Um, yeah, suck them is probably like I don't mind when people call me a liberal because like whatever, but social democrat is probably the closest.
Gotcha.
Or social libertarian I got on a quiz that I randomly took. I
Hey,
don't know what that is.
libertarian was originally a left-leaning ideology. We got that shit
Mm-hmm.
yoinked from us. You should be proud to tout that along.
Yeah. I described it as government give us money, but government fuck off. That's how I
Elsewise, yeah.
describe it.
So I guess super quickly, I guess. Okay, so here's my issue. All right, I watch your videos. I enjoy your content. Okay, you have pixels. There are memes there. There's yelling. I like it.
Yeah.
It all fits
Lots of
together.
yelling.
I get such an inordinate amount of shit for being charitable towards you.
Hmm.
From certain elements, not so much in my community personally, because my community is I'm pretty at this point used to my position on like political orthodoxy, but there are other
Hmm.
elements of like the left on YouTube that are like really fucking opposed to you.
Hmm.
And so much of the shit I see them say is incredibly dumb, and I would just love it if we could put that stuff to bed, at least
Sure.
within the purview of my community. So if anyone says dumb shit, I can point to this and just go like, hey, fuck off, you know?
Okay, sure.
Okay, so you don't mind me like talking about like any drama stuff?
Oh no, that's fine.
Okay, cool, super cool. All right, because it'd be really nice to have that on the record. Though I'm sure you've talked about it like 1,000 times before.
Yeah.
Um, so the two biggest things that I see people. So obviously you've had like kind of a political journey over the past like 5 years, right?
Yeah. Basically just kind of apolitical, apathetic to understanding politics more. Just like kind of a gradual change, but in the past year I think it was more than ever, probably.
I think your most consistent political position has probably been that you're anti-establishment. I think that goes back as far
Yeah.
as you've been online. Like whatever is like the anti-establishment ticket, you're here for it. You know?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I guess that's yeah, that describes it.
Did you? Because I actually forget. Were you supporting Bernie over Hillary back in 2016?
Oh
Before
yeah,
the election?
I was a Bernie or bust person, which I don't know if I like regret now. I'm not sure, but I didn't vote in the general, and people are kind of like people get mad about that. But I did vote in the primary, and then I kind of got like really butthurt and decided not to vote in the general. After the WikiLeaks stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of been my journey. From there, it was just downhill. Just very angry at the Democratic Party.
And but we're going uphill now, aren't we? I think we're going up.
Yeah.
I've been watching your content. We got some diamonds in there.
Sure.
Um,
But yeah.
the anti-establishment bid. I mean, and the Trump was like the. I would argue that Trump wasn't really like an anti-establishment pick in like a class sense, like in the
Hmm.
Marxian dialectic. He still is undeniably like an advent of the interest of the bourgeoisie. He's just less civil. But I mean,
Hmm.
compared to Hillary, there's no one more establishment than Hillary. So I feel like
Yeah.
between those two, it's a pretty hard line. But whenever I see people shit talk you online, it's always it's the exact two same things. It's the saying that a black woman looks like a gorilla, and Lauren Southern. And I know the context behind both of these, but
Hmm.
if we could really quickly, just so people can shut the fuck up over it,
Okay.
um, would you like to take that away?
Of course. So back in like 2016, I was a fan of, this is gonna hurt, Milo Yiannopoulos. And so actually when he first came on the scene, I hated him. And we got in fights on Twitter because he called trans people mutilated. So I got into it with him. And I got like, dogpiled by all his fans and everything. And like, I absolutely fucking hated him. But then he went on tour with Christina Hoff Sommers, and I was a fan of hers at the time. I don't know what she's up to nowadays, but I really liked her.
Nothing good.
Okay, so um yeah, I thought she was awesome. So she went on tour with him, and then I kind of gained more respect for him. And yeah, I became a fan of his in like 2016. So then the whole Ghostbusters thing happened, and like Milo Yiannopoulos got banned off Twitter. And at the time, I was a fan of him, so I went into like white knight mode. And apparently, he or somebody like said Leslie Jones looked like a gorilla, and like my like a pathetic attempt to like white knight for this was like, but she does, it's not racist to say that. And like in my mind, like I genuinely didn't think it was racist at the time. Like I don't know why now looking back at it, but genuinely I was just like, it's not racist to say people look like certain animals, like blah blah blah. But looking now, it's like really cringy because like I had no idea it was such a like overtly racist thing to say.
Yeah, well, I get it. I feel like a lot of people who condemn unilaterally for this sort of thing don't understand how people understand racism, especially if they're not like 100% on the bullet woke in regards to all like social issues. Because racism for a lot of people means like overt, direct attempt to impugn the
Mhm.
humanity of. And if you see a person and they do look like a so, for example, or you could do like the Chinaman with like the buck teeth kind of thing, right? Like a little
Mhm.
bit. Or you could say like, oh, this Chinese person looks like a gopher because of this feature or that. And if in a purely impartial way, you could maybe draw some kind of parallel between those perceived appearances and not believe it to be racist because you're just making an observation statement the same way you would make a joke about like a guy with poofy hair looks like a lion, for example.
Mhm.
And
Like it
yo, sorry.
sorry, no, keep going, sorry.
And it takes a little bit more political know-how, I think. And this isn't impugning you. Lord knows where I was at 2016 or 2017. But it takes a little more political know-how to understand that sometimes racist behavior isn't like a direct, explicit attack on one's humanity, but an implicit reinforcement of social trends that are used elsewhere to impugn their
Mhm.
humanity. You know?
Yeah, it was just kind of like, I guess just ignorant. Like I was just like, guys, I'm not being racist. Like I'm not a racist. It's true. Like, and I didn't. It took talking to, I don't know if you know her, Claudia Brown. She's been my
Hmm.
friend for like 5 years. She had to
She's really
like sit
nice.
me down. Yeah, she had to like sit me down and explain to me like, shoo, that was pretty fucked up. And I was just like, I don't understand. But like it, I was really defensive of being called racist because of it, and she was just like, "Okay, you could say racist shit without like explicitly being a racist person. Like you said a racist thing." And I was just like, "Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's pretty fucking racist." So I took down the whole video, even though that was just a really small part. I think the video was like 20 minutes long, because it was just like embarrassing and cringe. And then people are like, "Oh, she's trying to delete the evidence." And it's just like, How do I like? What do I do?
Yeah, I don't think anyone in good faith could continue to impugn. I've seen people talk about this like they're acting like you believe there was like it was never racist and you're just like obstinate to this day, which I have never seen any indication of. This frustrates me personally because I don't know. Are you at all aware of the Thought Slime drama meltdown stream that I had personally, or did that slip you by?
Was that when you debated Lexi?
That did happen during that stream actually.
Okay, yeah, then yeah, I watched that.
Yeah, that was a good old time. The gist of the stream functionally was that I there was someone with whom I had a very minor beef on Twitter, but some people were acting incredibly snobby and condescending towards me about my degree of like wokeness or how responsibly I had handled this interaction. And I went on a rant about how these degenerate transes were like hurting the left because they were more concerned with like fostering a pure social space than they were political advocacy. And in a purely empirical sense, I think what I said wasn't entirely off the mark, and I stand by it. And I've defended the explicit context of that statement, but implicitly the like these trans people are weak and destroying the left. These degenerate obviously, like the implicit suggestions of that statement are like crazy fucking bad. So, but and people still hold that against me. It's been 6 months or so. People still hold this against you. You didn't have a 4-hour meltdown stream over it, and it's been years.
Yeah. Well, like that's one thing. Like, there's some things people bring up where I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, that's not actually one thing that I'm like, yeah, that was fucked up to say. But like, yeah, it's kind of like it was like what 4 years ago now, and I'm just like, I don't know. It's like I agree that it was super racist to say now. At the time, I didn't know, but it's like I don't know. I've been doing this for like 6 years now, and that's like one of the 3 things people bring up. And it's just like, okay, am I really that fucking awful? Like every day I get it, and it's just kind of really frustrating.
I've
Because it's
said.
like,
Oh, sorry.
and oh, sorry, go on.
No,
Sorry.
no, please. I interrupted you.
Oh, um, I wouldn't mind if people were just like, yeah, that was fucked up to say. Like, I don't like her. That's fine. But people do this weird thing. Well, they'll like gatekeep me out of being left wing because of it, and it makes no sense. It's like saying that people who are left wing can't fuck up or say racist shit. And it's just like, why does my political position change because of stuff like this? I
Yeah,
don't
so we have
understand.
someone in chat who I think is a representative of this kind of, okay? Oh no, says Abby. There's consequences to your actions. How awful. Anyone who is a fan of my content recognizes that I believe people are capable of making mistakes and are capable of growing in spite of that. The idea that someone who puts so much content out online, like Shoe does, for example, I mean, she's been here for far longer than I have, and never make a mistake and never be expected to make any mistakes that one could conceivably change their mind on is fucking ludicrous. I don't think anyone could be held to that standard reasonably. And so many content creators just don't. And what's frustrating to me is, as someone who actually cares about leftism and not just stroking my dick raw about like the moral purity with which I ascribe my politics to others, I like the idea of people being able to recognize that they've done something that's maybe an oopsie, and learn from that and improve, and now not do those things. And there are so many people who don't get that, and I guess some of those people are never really going to have their minds changed. And whatever, you can't fix everyone on the internet, but just the degree to which people impugn you for this, for me, is I don't know. Maybe they misunderstand like your broader political positions, or they've heard hearsay, like it's sort of snowballed into a telephone game of you having done things that you didn't actually do. I genuinely don't understand how these 2 specific incidents like grew to such infamy over the course of your online career, you know?
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't know, like it's fine to be like, oh, I don't like her content, blah blah blah, but it's just like, yeah, she's not actually left wing. It's just like, what the fuck? Like everything that I believe in, advocate for and stuff, I feel like is on the left, and it's just weird to be like, yeah, she said a racist thing in 2016. Left wing, am I right? I see that all the time. I was like, Why?
yeah, I mean, please God, no one had a camera on me back in 2016. Okay,
Yeah.
or I couldn't be here anymore. But you would, but like, yeah, just to clarify, like, you would apologize for that if you had, if like,
Oh
for some,
yeah.
yeah, of course, yeah.
I
Um,
want to do a thing where I want to make a video where I kind of like react to my old hot takes or something, and like I want to maybe throw that in there because like I can't think of any other way to be like I'm sorry that I said this. That doesn't come off as like I don't know, not entertaining or fun for my audience. I want to like kind of incorporate like hey, it's cool to cringe and laugh at yourself because blah blah blah. Like I want to do something like that. I think
Yeah,
because
I think it's a really humanizing thing to do as well, because there's an expectation, because there's so much like parasocial nonsense that goes into being a public figure. There's an expectation that your political opinion be this like this uniform monolithic thing that can't change, because to admit it changed would be to admit a mistake, and to admit a mistake would be to admit weakness, and to admit weakness would be to get people to leave your community. But for you to do that,
I'm
I
fine.
think would be like breaking from that
No,
mold.
I'm fine with admitting mistakes and stuff. I just kind of because I love laughing at myself. Like I've done videos where I laugh at old videos of mine and stuff. I think that's like super healthy to like cringe at yourself.
Yeah.
Um and like openly admit that like you've changed and stuff. I think that's like a good thing. But like at the same time, there's this narrative that's going around and like it's a little condescending in a way. It's just like, oh, like her redemption arc. She's like changing so much. And to me, I feel like I haven't changed that much. I just kind of matured over the course of like 5 years. Because like I was 24 when I started all this. Now I'm like, well, I was like 23. Now I'm like 28. And I feel like it's just a natural thing to like build on your political opinions and like learn and mature. And I don't think it's a redemption arc. I think it's just
It's
like
really sanctimonious when they phrase it that way, you know?
yeah.
Like you've fallen, you've sinned, you know, you've stained
I
your
know.
clothes, and now you crawl to them, and they lift you up. You know, they bring you up into the promised land of orthodox leftism, you know? It's really
Mhm. <laughs>
fucking obnoxious. People
Like
change,
no, when
opinions
people
change.
say oh sorry. I have such a habit of talking over
Well, no,
people.
no, go.
Fucking ADHD. When people say it as a joke, like that's funny, but there'll people who will like throw it in my face, like so much for that redemption arc. Like when I say something edgy or whatever, I'm just like, what? What do
Yeah.
you? Why? But
I personally, I
yeah.
mean, when it comes to the redemption arc, I think you personally, I think you got way more mileage out of the Lauren Southern thing than
Mhm.
than the prior drama. Can you, because this was more of an ongoing thing. Again, I know the context, but do you want to like do you
Mhm.
want to explain
Well, like,
to the degree you're comfortable?
oh, sure. I don't know. We were friends in like 2015, 2016, 2017. And she was like a regular, anti-feminist person. She started because she protested at a feminist march saying, I forgot what she said. She had a sign up and she was kind of like a men's rights person and like at the time like I don't know, that was like neat and like we became friends and it was cool and um with me like I never really had like a lot of female friends, so it was like really cool to finally have like a female friend and she was a really good friend and I don't know, like her opinions started changing like drastically and like some shit she would say like we'd openly disagree and stuff and that was cool and I liked that I had a friend that I could disagree with and stuff.
She didn't
And
start
then
out a white nationalist back in
no,
2015.
no.
Yeah, I remember. She
But I
would.
don't I
That
don't
wasn't
know.
from day one.
Like she's like and then she became like a nationalist, which I was like, okay, that's cool, like that's fine. I um and like we kind of I like distanced myself publicly and that was like a mistake. That was stupid. I should have just handled everything privately or whatever and because I winded up getting doxxed by somebody who was like, "Oh, your daughter's friends with a Nazi," and like all this random shit. So I kind of like panicked. I was like, "Oh shit, I don't know what to do." But naturally we just kind of drifted off, I guess. And then she was like, "Hey, I'm quitting politics, blah blah blah." Blah. And I was like, "Okay, I'll bye. You were a good friend." Like I posted that to her. And then people got really mad that I said that, even though I like tried to make it past tense and everything. But like, I just wished her well. Like, even in DMs, I was like, okay, bye. Like, if you're not going to be in politics anymore, like, have a good life. I don't know.
I don't think it's really any different from how a person would handle a drifting off friendship with a reactionary or a neo-Nazi if they knew them privately as two private friends. Things were just complicated by the public advocacy and the expectation of you publicly denouncing her views. This may be a hot take. I'm going to call it upon you. Do you officially denounce neo-Nazism? Is it
Yeah.
you confirm?
Yes, that was actually one of the things that kind of bothered me when people were like, why do you talk to this person? Why do you talk to that person? It's like, well, if you look at my beliefs, they're completely different from that person. So, like, isn't it obvious that I don't agree with them? Like, I don't know. That always bothered me.
Yeah,
But
our views are different in this respect. When I became a
mhm.
leftist, I stopped talking almost immediately to all of my non-left leaning friends. It was just
Really,
I'm
I
always
can't.
I've always been a very politically contentious person. I believe really strongly in what I believe, and for people who have strong other beliefs, it's not necessarily that I don't think of them as much as people. I can still think they're cool or whatever. I just talk about politics so often, and I believe so strongly in what I believe. It would just be a nonstop headache, you know.
hmm
So
Like,
that's my personal approach.
I think there's like a line. Like, I don't mind like disagreeing like with economics and shit on people or like little things. But if somebody's straight up like anti LGBT or anything like that, I don't think I could be friends with them. It would be difficult.
Right. But that's one of the slippery tricks of people like Lauren Southern, right? Lauren Southern never came out and made a video entitled "I Hate Black People," but I think the political ascriptions that one could sort of derive from her Great Replacement Theory stuff pretty implicitly suggest her opinions on uh, white society. Um, I guess I understand the general outrage on this one. Maybe because you and I have different opinions when it comes to like how we treat our friends or what obligations we have to distance ourselves from people who have ideologies like that. Um, if you had the opportunity to, would you, in retrospect, like if you could go back and change how you handled things, do you think you would have handled things in private, or do you think like in public you would have been much more active in disagreeing with her, with some of her political positions?
Well, if you look on Twitter and stuff, I've openly disagreed with her, but I would just try to handle it privately. I don't know. I feel like it's annoying because I feel like people shouldn't care so much about like my personal friendships, but like I get it because I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea actually. It's a
But
good
friendship of
question.
public figure is kind of, in a way, a tacit endorsement, unfortunately. I understand your
Mhm.
perspective. I'm not saying it's invalid or anything. Just like I can understand how a lot of people seeing Lauren Southern's positions, which are, if they were applied like politically, are fucking horrifying. To see this person have like friends who you trust, like the people who trust you, I can imagine that seems almost like a dissonance. Like you on your channel will advocate for Bernie Sanders or for left leaning reform, but then like on the other hand, if you really
Mhm.
disavowed Lauren Southern, like why are you still friends with her? I can understand people feeling that way.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's like weird looking back on it now because I was like friends with even like I remember I was friends with a few people that were right leaning and like they would like I almost went down this fucking rabbit hole in like 2016 where like I was friends with a few right leaning people and like they'll be like, "Oh, shoot, it's not racism, it's race realism."
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
And like I would be like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." Like that's facts over feelings, that makes sense. And like they're very good at just kind of um like manipulating you in a way and then like randomly just showing their true colors and you're just like, "Oh shit, what the fuck?" Like um yeah, thankfully none of that seeped into my own content, but there was definitely some things like
There was like a
behind the
time,
scenes. Yeah, where I was just like, like I should make a video about this and I never did, thank God, but
Yeah. That's
like,
how that's
there
how
was
the
definitely
radicalization always goes, right? Because it's really fucking hard to just be a Nazi, like on your own. It's like growing up in a regular good old American city and then just being a Nazi. Like this is nearly impossible. But if you have, especially online now, if you fall into the right friend groups and they kind of like, one step at a time, like, hey, why is there no White Pride Month? Like, I get it, black people
Yeah.
had
So
slavery, but and it's like step, step,
yeah.
step, and
So
oh, sorry, please.
sorry. I'm sorry again. Oh my god, I always
No,
do
no,
it. No,
no.
keep going. You go.
Well, I only want to say is that one of the things that left-leaning people like myself and others, and I'm not saying you're not left-leaning, but the harder leftists try to do, is we recognize how difficult it is to pull people out once you're really far to the right. It's really hard to pull people out. I interact with Nazis on a daily basis. I've incurred the ire of almost every large Nazi figure, which means their fan bases constantly come after me. And these people are genuinely deranged. I almost feel like I'm talking to a botnet. But I know that just a few years ago, maybe some of them less than a year ago, were maybe not centrist or whatever, but they were within reach. They were
Hmm.
they were still on the, oh well, like, we don't really need affirmative action because black people, there's no legal laws discriminating against them. I know they were in that position when I still could have reached out at them. So we're very, very suspicious of anything tilting in that direction, because if you leave
Hmm.
someone alone with 6 months in the wrong friend group, you may never get them back.
Yeah. Also, the thing with alt-right people is like, and the difference between the left online, it's a really big problem. And one of like the biggest problems I think the online left has is like they'll be like a centrist, apolitical, anti-SJW type person who's like who, for example, like you said, why is there no white pride? Something like why is there no white history month like that?
Which a
And
non-racist
then
person could be
yeah, yeah.
legitimately curious
So
about. Yeah.
and like someone on the left, this is just an example, will be like, "Oh, go educate yourself, like, shut up or whatever." But someone on the right will be like, "Hey, buddy, come over here. I'll teach you all about that. Like, come on in." Like like you said, like they don't like they just like take in anyone. And with the left, there's kind of this like purity thing and this like again this gatekeeping thing where it's like if you're not, perfect or whatever, they're gonna be like, fuck off. And then like not all of them obviously. But the what do you call them? Woke scolds? Woke
I
scolds?
There's no good term, but that's the
Yeah,
one I
like
tend to
I
use.
don't wanna
Yeah.
use that straight up, but you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's a group of those people who act like that, and I think it's really detrimental to the left wing, online at
Yeah,
least.
because we could have a good pipeline if we wanted to. Because their pipeline is 100% about deceit. Like to go into the far right, it's you lay out a couple of apparent contradictions. Hey, why do women get preference in this? Why do black people get affirmative action? Why no White History Month? And you lay out a few apparent hypocrisies, and then
Mhm.
you throw in these explanations for them that are increasingly they increasingly condemn existing social structures until eventually you're answering these relatively minor apparent hypocrisies with stuff like the Jews are orchestrating this grand hypocrisy to destroy the white man. And we could
Mhm.
do something that has a similar function, if not through similar means. We just, and I mean, I completely agree. I just feel like we don't, because we're just not interested in taking more people in. We just assume the only good lefters are the one that naturally arrived at those positions with no help,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah,
exhausting.
yeah, like someone in the chat was like, "Oh, we don't have to educate everyone." Like I agree, but there's got to be some kind of like, okay, yeah, I'll talk to you about this. Like even though I know that people online could be really annoying to debate with, but
Oh
like
yeah,
some of
totally.
my yeah, like when I talk about left left leaning things online, like Bernie support, Medicare for all, stuff like that, I'll get people who are more right wing, but not really, like the anti SJW type, like, oh, but he's a commie or whatever. And then you just instead of really telling them to fuck off, you're like, well, do you think Denmark is communist country? Like you just kind of like talk to them and they're just like, oh, you're right. And I've been getting dozens and dozens of messages since I started my alternate channel from people like, oh my God, I never knew about any of this.
The
Like,
the Brainlet channel.
Yeah, like, oh, I support Bernie now. Like, oh my God, like everyone, like I used to only watch Crowder and that's the only information I got about him. Like, it's
That's
really cool to see, but
Yeah, that's one of the reasons
it,
why I'm I guess so interested in your political journey. Not just in you as a person, because
mm,
you've actually been one of the most communicative public figures with me, which is astonishing given your size. You probably have a ton of people who you could be talking to. But in addition to that, which means a lot to me personally, there's also the fact that you have a very wide audience. You have
mhm,
an the and it's not because you're not open with your political views either. You're pretty clear about them. Your
mhm,
audience ranges. I've seen people in your audience ranging from actual socialists to basically fascists who
mhm,
yeah, and it's that's I mean, I obviously don't have that kind of breadth. I try to because I like to reach as many people as I can, but you are in a very unique position, and I'm interested in seeing how someone with that kind of audience manages those dissonant expectations. And I honestly think you've done a pretty phenomenal job when it comes to promoting your political views. You don't come off as like preachy or you don't like condemn people who disagree, and you couch all of
mhm,
your political positions in humor, which is really important.
mhm. Yeah, that's one of the things a lot of people have said in like the messages and stuff. They're like, "Oh, you're not like preachy. You don't talk down to us or whatever." And so many left-wing channels feel like they do that, like they were talking down to me. And one of the mistakes I see a lot of anti-SJW channels that kind of went left, a big mistake I see a lot of them do is they don't like bring their audience along with them. And I think that's a really big mistake. They kind of start like wagging the finger at their audience and like talking down to them when you can like bring them along with you on your journey in like a way that like like how you went along on your journey. Like just talk to them like they're normal people and like entertain them. And it's like it's good because like I still have right-wing people in my audience and like people see that as like a negative thing, but I think it's cool because like I don't know, like I can teach them more about my point of view and whatever, and they eventually could agree with me or not, but
But
yeah.
people aren't coming into your videos like centrist and leaving Nazis. Like I don't
Yeah.
I can't find whatever pipeline you're operating, however you've built your like little pipeline machine, it's not churning out like the far right. So I
Mhm.
yeah. So I mean I think that's pretty important. There are some people who do more scattershot political content that I think fall more closely within that vein. Um, without
I
wishing
don't
to name names, but you know, right? There are like comedy channels that kind
mhm.
of hit across the board with comedy, but there you could interpret a lot of far right positions from
Mhm.
what they're saying.
Yeah, like, even in my older videos, I was I'm a liberal and blah blah blah. Like before I would say something like I was never the channel that was like the left has gone crazy.
Right?
Like I
Yeah,
never
the Dave
that.
Rubin, Crowder, Tim Pool,
Yeah.
fucking yeah, the grift.
Um, but also back in the day, I would get people like, "Wow, I never knew a liberal could be so cool." Like, so my channel has kind of always been not like the other liberals kind of thing, which is, I guess, cringe.
Listen,
But like
there's
I've
nothing
been
wrong with being a little cringe, okay? We're all cringe in our own
I've
beautiful ways.
I've kind of like expanded on that and just like kind of shown people that you could be like left wing and, you know, think these things, the things you think are annoying, but you could critique them from the left because I think a mistake is you have these anti-SJW people, including myself, who will be like, look at this cringy BuzzFeed thing. Isn't it cringe? Oh my God, feminist, whatever. And then they kind of leave it open ended. And it's just like, where does the audience go from there? And it's that was I think a mistake I've done because I've always been I'm anti this, isn't this thing cringe? But I've never been like, hey, here's an alternative, you know, to this cringe. And that's what I'm kind of trying to
Yeah, I
change a
think both are
little.
really, really important, because
Hmm.
it's impossible unless you're holistic in your condemnations of basically everywhere across the political spectrum. You can never really know where a person sits unless they actually tell you. Criticizing other positions can often be used as
Hmm.
a means to suggest the positions one holds without actually offering an alternative. Like, and I'm not naming names here, if your channel is exclusively dedicated to shitting on people who are doing anti-racist like messaging and
Hmm.
shitting on people who are doing like anti-Nazi messaging, and you're always making fun of them for being hysterical SJWs, and you never actually clarify your positions, but you're really, really
Hmm.
anti-Nazi, yeah, you know. Um, Actually, I think that's probably, and I should clarify for chat really quickly. When Shu's saying like she doesn't do the "I'm not like the other leftists. This is why the left is crazy." I have done the same fucking thing in the past. I have criticized the left in the same broad language. What she's saying is like she doesn't do like the grift shit, like the Tim Pool stuff, where her channel is dedicated to like ascribing positions to the left to condemn them without clarifying alternatives, which is usually ends up being like a right leaning grift. You know what I mean?
And also like the BuzzFeed shit, I always say like I can't speak, sorry. I would always call it like pop feminism
Hmm.
and stuff like that. Like I would try not to like broadly smear anything, although probably done it in the past, but like I always like try to clarify like, oh, this is a minority of people, like this is not all hashtag not all, like stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, exactly. I actually
Hmm.
I want to talk to you about that. The most aggressively the most aggressively, I guess, mocking content you've made in your channel tends to be directed towards feminism. How do you
Hmm.
feel about feminism, broadly speaking?
Broadly, like I've never gone after like intersectional feminism or anything like that because I don't. People are always like, why doesn't she go after like the this or that? And it's just because like I don't think that's a terrible thing. I usually just critique. I guess you would call it white feminism, although I don't really like that term.
I usually say second wave feminism, but yeah, either way, it's also
Oh,
very white. So whatever you prefer to go after.
like turfs and whatever fucking like the pop. I guess pop feminism, just like this stuff that kind of isn't really good at all. And like I think of it as like lassoing in like the libs and being like, hey, this isn't actually equality. What you're doing sucks. What are
Mhm.
you doing? I see it in that perspective, but like I don't think like, advocacy for um making like tampons and stuff have no tax on them is bad. I don't think like advocacy for like breastfeeding in public or like stuff like that, like feminism, like I don't think is like I've never called myself an anti-feminist.
Yeah.
I always used to clarify that I'm just critical of it. But
The yeah, no, I mean I agree, and I same the remnants of second wave feminism or bourgeois feminism or liberal feminism or whatever derogatory term people prefer to use with it, have led to
mhm.
some pretty disgusting um, political state of affairs where people feel as though they're condemning feminism broadly because of the excisions of these like the worst elements of it, like you said,
Yeah,
BuzzFeed
uh,
feminism.
like the more female CEOs
More
feminism.
female CEOs, more female drone pilots.
Yeah. Yeah.
The man spreading shit took up like 6 months
Yeah.
of the
Oh my
United States
god.
collective media life for something
Yeah.
incredibly fucking irrelevant. The type of feminism that's legit just I'll say it. I can fairly say this. There are some feminist outlets that are kind of fucking man hating that actually do that shit. That will be like, oh yeah, you want to be a woman? Listen, men can't do this. Men are shit. Like, okay,
Mhm.
are we nailing this feminism thing right now,
Yeah,
or are we doing like pop articles for bitter like white women in the suburbs?
it's like I don't know what it is. I don't know what you would call it. Like I have no idea what type of feminism it is, but I hate it. I've always hated it. And even now, coming across it like with the elections, you see it like, vote for Warren because she's a woman,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
shit like that, like the ID poll. I've always been relatively very much against identity politics.
It depends.
Um,
Yeah, it depends on where you go with it, right? Because
yeah.
there's id poll where like identity is super, president. Well,
Hmm.
obviously they need to be a woman. They need to be black, like that kind of stuff. And then you have id poll, which is more of a like a broader, like intersectional id poll, like a broader
Hmm.
recognition. Like, hey, people get shit on for a wide variety of reasons. If we look at the
Yeah.
plurality of these systems, we can maybe figure out solutions to addressing them.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a really important distinction. Like, for example, like if ID poll, in my opinion, is when like you'll see somebody have a really terrible take online, and then you'll be like, "Hey, that's stupid," and they're like, "How dare you say that to a woman?" Like that's kind of like, what does you being a woman have to do with it? Like, what would you call that? What is that?
Do you know what led to me doing the fucking meltdown stream that I did?
What?
There was a specific person on Twitter. It was actually can be traced back to one person. It wasn't Thought Slime. It was one person.
Hmm.
Well, because Thought Slime is like is non-binary, I think. And they said Thought Slime said they thought gender abolitionism was like dumb because it didn't take into consideration the feelings of like gender and sexual minorities, which
Hmm.
I'm not even going to get into that. And then somebody asked me what I thought of that take, and I said I thought it was dumb. And then Thought Slime banned me or responded or something. And then their fans came after me. And one of their fans spent no shit. I stayed up late at night because sometimes I get really fixated. Okay, this is the autism speaking. All right, I got really fixated on this one. Oh, Thought Slime is he him? Okay, he him. Sorry, Thought Slime. I got really fucking fixated on this one person who was incredibly sanctimonious. Like, hey, Vosh, listen. I understand you mean well, but the trans community really doesn't appreciate it when you step out of line and make statements for us like this. You should listen to
Hmm.
the trans community. And I was like, okay, I don't know what the fuck your identity has to do with the validity of an argument, but I have a huge trans audience. I could go pull my Discord right now. If we want to count numbers,
Hmm.
I can find more trans people in my community than I bet you could dredge up from anywhere on Twitter. Do you want to do this? And they were like, it wouldn't matter. It's still coming from you. You need to listen to the voices of trans people. I said, which trans people? I spent 2 hours with this person. I stayed up late that night and I fell asleep so angry I woke up and did the fucking meltdown stream. I cannot stand these people. But it's okay. It's a new day. 2020 is coming up. End of decade. We're new decade,
Yeah.
new me.
I have a funny story about that stream actually. So that morning I had a gym and my gym was empty. So I had your stream on like full blast. I was just like, and someone walked in and I couldn't turn it off, and you're just like going the fuck off on the stream, and it was like really embarrassing. I was like, shit, shit, shit. But yeah, yeah, that was a good stream. But that is, yeah, that's my story about that stream.
I'm sorry for interrupting the public experience.
Um, so yeah, yeah, ID poll's bad. Like the new leader of Bolivia is a woman, and like fucking people were unironically on Twitter like, yes, the first female.
Our first lady fascist. Okay,
Yeah,
nice. Do you stand Evo
yeah.
Morales, by the way?
That's the guy who got
Who got
the coup.
ousted? Yeah, who got coup?
Yeah, yeah, he's cool. I like him.
Bless. Um,
That was,
I,
that was crazy though. I actually learned all that from you, the coup and everything, and then I told Greg about it, and he was like freaking out because the lithium theory you have that now Elon Musk is like powering his Cybertruck from the lithium in Bolivia. Didn't
They are
you have that
actually using
theory?
the ground up bodies of Bolivian
Yeah,
children in the fucking fuel for those trucks. I'm telling you, it's gonna come out in 20 years. When the fucking
it's
NSA declassified documents leak. Oh god. I okay,
yeah, it
wait.
was.
To return back to the earlier topic, I know this is something that I've heard amongst some of the fans I have who I guess actually watch your content rather than just sort of hear about it from a distance.
Mhm.
It's that I think they would. This sounds so fucking sanctimonious. What I've heard a lot is I think there are a lot of people who recognize that your bent on anti-feminism is pretty explicitly against the elements of feminism that like any I think most reasonable left-leaning people would also shit
Mhm.
on. That I guess they're interested in hearing you like adulate or congratulate like intersectional feminism more. So you have a strong sort of central position or an alternative that you could offer to people who agree with you about not liking those silly elements of feminism, but don't really
Mhm.
know where to go next, you know?
Mhm. Well, like I've clarified that in a few videos that
You
there's
have,
like
yeah.
that there's, you know, feminism that isn't like a turf or a wine ant. Um, but yeah, I don't know what else I could
Oh no,
do,
no, no.
I
That's
guess.
just what I hear a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
I
okay,
because
okay.
I haven't done like a fucking cross sectional analysis of your video. I don't have like a ratio in
Alright.
front of me or anything. But yeah, no. I think okay, because I remember there are two times during my life that I've like really gone through your content, like really really watched it,
Mhm.
and one of them is now over the past like 6 7 months or so, and the
Mhm.
other one was back in 2017.
Mhm.
And back in 2017, I watched a lot of your content. And obviously, it was very different to how it was now. And the contrast between those two time periods is pretty fucking astonishing. But I guess I would have to go back over like the older stuff to see how much of whatever perceptions I may have are being influenced by older iterations of your content that are no longer a fair representation of what you're still saying today.
Mhm. Well, everything on my channel now, like I've unlisted a few videos that are just so bad that I don't want them up. Like they're just cringe. But everything right now that's up, I'm pretty like I'm not it's not terrible. Like I some things might have aged poorly, but like there's nothing there is bad. Like
No, right? Yeah,
I
yeah.
I I recently unlisted an entire video because I had the hottest take about the media. I was like, yeah, like all the
Is it
media's
the
left
Jews?
wing. All the media's left. No, no, no.
Okay, I don't know. Just
I was
making
like,
sure.
no, in
Fucking
the video, I'm
monkeys.
like CNN and MSNBC, they're left. And like now I just can't even listen to that. I'm like, no, 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 that's not true.
I think it's pretty honorable of you to unlist the old content, by the way.
I
A lot of people just let that
well,
shit like sit there, even if they disagree with it currently, because it's still collecting ad revenue.
yeah, it's just I don't know. Like if I like I'm fine with cringing at a few things, but if I can't even bear to watch a video of mine because the takes are so hot. Like I need like it's gone.
You know what really sucks about the pipeline for like left leaning people versus right leaning people? For
What?
like for you, if you keep up all your old videos, some people might watch them and take from them political positions you would now disagree with. And like you don't want that, so you enlist them. But if you're
Mhm.
someone like Sarkon, who's only gone further right with time, if someone stumbles on their older videos, like the earliest like anti-feminism videos, it serves as like
Mhm.
an introduction to the fucking crazy shit that's being said now. It's like so the because it goes in one direction for them, so they can keep up stuff they currently disagree with because it's not extreme enough because it still helps you slide into the new stuff, um, which isn't the case for people in our positions, I think.
Mhm. Yeah, like I don't know, like all my videos up right now, like I don't think they're like if people could watch them, like there's nothing I'm always coming from a liberal perspective. I'm never like feminism is destroying the nuclear family. Like
Right.
it's always like, hey, like this isn't I don't think this is what equality is. How about we tone it down a bit? Like shit like that. Like that's not how you be liberal. Like that's like most of my takes. But there are definitely people who go the complete opposite or like, "Oh, feminism is destroying the nuclear family, like, women aren't
Yeah.
having babies anymore." Like, they just go down
The
that.
Stefan
And
Molyneux
then
"give me your eggs" approach
yeah, and
to
like
discourse.
when this like, I don't understand I'm sorry, I don't think people understand, like, what the anti-feminist thing was like early on. Like, when I first started in 2014, this was, like, pre-Gamergate. There was no one talking about this, and I didn't know anybody online. I didn't know there was like a community or anything like that. And I just kind of uploaded my first video. If you watch the first video, like it's really cringe, but it's kind of like it's so dated for its time. Like if people look back on it now, like they'll just be like, "What is this? Like this is the most basic shit I've ever heard in my life." But back then, like nobody was talking about it, and I just posted that video to vent because I was like, "Oh, there's these crazy people calling themselves like feminists and they're being snowflakes, blah blah blah." Like, it was
The
like,
political the climate has
and
changed so much over the past 5 years.
yeah, and like I didn't think that was political at all when I uploaded that stuff. Like, I didn't see that as political for the longest time, even up till like 2 years ago. I didn't see what I was doing as political. I'm just like, oh, this is just apolitical. Any idiot can point this stuff out. So when I started being called like right wing and stuff, that was really confusing to me. for pointing out this stuff because I'm like, no, I voted for Obama, guys. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like,
I guess,
so
yeah.
like the atmosphere back then, like, was completely different
Yeah,
than it is
it's I
now.
think
Like,
back then people weren't as keen on the some people still pretend not to be keen, like at all. But I think most people know, or even if they pretend not to, that the whole of your political content is what you produce plus the implications that lead from it. And you can
mhm,
never really know what the implications are until you know the climate in which the content is being released. Like for
mhm,
example, like okay, here's one. Remember that Red Dead for Two Dead YouTuber guy, and he did videos of him killing like the suffragettes.
yeah,
Right. So 10 years ago in 2009 YouTube, if somebody did a video like that, that would be like, wow, ha, 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 ha. But
mhm,
they did it in the past year, and this turned into a media spectacle where he was declaring
mhm,
like the autonomy of men's rights against the tyrannical feminazis, and far right groups actively started sharing his content because
yeah,
he was like dragging a suffragette in a video game to a gator in a video game,
mhm.
and like, how did we get at this point?
I
Like,
don't know.
I feel like now you can make like you can make fucking political bents on anything. You could go and make fucking Super Mario like Kaizo levels, like the mods and stuff. And you could go and
Mhm,
make those, and somehow you could like dog whistle in them. It's insane how fucking saturated the content has become, you know?
mhm. Yeah,
Um,
it's nuts.
yeah. It's honestly very stressful, I think, for people who produce any kind of content at all.
Mhm,
Um, so I saw you earlier on Twitter criticizing Tulsi. Can I,
mhm.
is there any chance I can worm you away from being a Tulsel in this glorious interaction?
Um, I don't think so. Like, she's my second
Damn.
choice, but listen, like, I really like her. Like, if you knew her history and everything, I think she's a, a good politician. Um, I think she'd be a good VP, but I like her. I don't know. I don't think you're gonna. I don't think.
You disagree with that impeachment bent, though, right?
Yeah, that was weird.
Okay, all right, okay. Because that I think was pretty fucking weird. I'm sure we can all agree on that. Do you think there is perhaps the slightest chance that simping is getting in the way of? 'Cause she's very hot. I'm not impugning you here or anything. I've seen the
No,
workout videos.
no. Like, do you know her history at all? Like with the
Um,
DNC and Bernie and stuff?
yeah, I mean, I know she's been like kind of a maverick in the DNC for a long time. You probably know more than me. Yeah, hit me up.
Okay, so she stepped down from the DNC. She was like a chairman, like she had a high position, and she stepped down to endorse Bernie because she didn't like what happened to him. And she refused to endorse Clinton. This was before the primaries and everything. And like everyone was on her ass, like CNN and all these people. And then because of the WikiLeaks, we found out that the DNC like
Biased in
emailed
favor of
her.
her. Yeah.
Yeah, they emailed her Tulsi and they were like, "How dare you endorse Bernie Sanders, a man who has done nothing his entire life?" Like blah blah blah, all this crazy shit. I don't know if you've seen that letter. It is the
I
scariest
haven't read it
thing.
myself, but I've heard it
Oh
alluded to.
fuck. Yeah, and they're like, "Hillary Clinton will be our nominee, and for you, it's just disgusting, and you'll no longer receive funding from us." Blah blah blah. So she stepped down. She was the only Bernie surrogate or delegate. What is the word? Fuck. Um, in the entire race right now. Everyone else was Hillary, and she. I don't know. I like her foreign policy. I think it's
Ooh,
great that she's
really?
moving. Well, why wouldn't you like it?
Oh, I'm very opposed to her foreign policy, actually.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Okay. So, well, I like that she's moving the conversation about foreign policy, at least like putting it out there because I feel like it's such a topic that all the candidates kind of push to the side when it's really important.
Yeah, I do think.
Um,
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, go on.
Yeah, no, I do think that it's important we talk about non-inter or like anti-imperialism as like a political prescription, because for the longest time, Democrats and Republicans have been basically unified, and their basic policy positions, like Democrats and Republicans, this is where they differ, like slight differ on the quality of life for the
Yeah.
middle class people in America, but they will shake hands. The Democrats just approved fucking Trump's military
Yes,
spending,
I was just
reenactment
gonna
of the
say
Patriot
that.
Act. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they're 100% okay with a lot of other crazy ass shit.
Hmm. Yeah, like the stuff they could impeach Trump on is pretty much all foreign policy related, like all the shit he's done, like Yemen and selling weapons to like Saudi Arabia and all that shit. But they won't because they agree
Because
with
then
that.
we get every other
So
president too. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
don't
yeah,
want to impeach that.
exactly.
I should say I
Yeah,
do agree with impeaching Trump, or maybe not with the optics of it necessarily, but I agree that what he did in regards to Ukraine is an impeachable offense. But the fact that that's what they honed in on, rather
yeah,
than the
that
myriad other impeachable offenses that would impugn other presidents, kind of indicates there, you know.
yeah, that's apparently Tulsi's position on this. She says she wrote a whole thing on the things he should be impeached over.
Yeah, I read her. Yeah, I've read all the
Uh-huh.
stuff in it. I have to make a video where I like yell at her, and
Oh,
she doesn't
okay.
hear it. But my main concern is that Queen Hillary told me that she's a Russian asset, and Russia's really
Yes.
scary. So I have to.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
for real though, I do have concerns. I think this is actually somewhere where I disagree with a lot of leftists too. A
Hmm.
lot of leftists are very anti-imperialist, anti-interventionalist, which is great. You know, fuck America. But
Hmm.
at the same time, it's not a single-player game. You know, there are a lot of key spots across the world where if we lessened our respective power bases, then there are other nations that could sort of take our place.
Hmm.
I'm still pissed about Rojava. Have you been following the Rojava stuff at all?
Oh no, what is that?
Oh wait, do you have can I explain for like 2 minutes because it's super fucked
Yeah.
up. Okay,
Okay, go.
okay. So essentially, in Turkey, there was an ethnic group called the Kurds who have been long-standing allies of America and have been brutally oppressed under Turkey for like a century. Okay, and south of them, you have Syria and the Syrian conflict and what have you, ISIS, and you've south of
Hmm.
that you have Assad. You have like a whole ecosystem going on down there. But long story short, Kurdish group, with the permission of Turkey, agreed to go out there and use their armies and their outstanding military forces to take over some of these ISIS controlled areas in northern Syria. And after doing so, yeah, Turkey, Syria, and Iraq all have Kurds. Yeah, but yeah, okay, yeah. But these Kurds came and they took over portions of Syria and they formed Rojava, which ended up being the most based ass, fucking sick, democratic province in like the history of the Middle East. It's crazy. They had a women's council. They were explicitly a democratic socialist or like libertarian socialist regime. They instantly
Hmm.
started setting up. They like legally instituted like equality across the genders for the Middle East in a war-torn zone formerly controlled by ISIS. This is like
Hmm.
unbelievable. And they set up bases and they did more to defeat ISIS than any other group in the region, including the American soldiers that were helping them a little bit along the way. A little while ago, Trump pulled the US soldiers out, and Turkey, now seeing all of the fresh land that their Kurds have taken for them, begun an invasion about 3 or 4 weeks ago,
Oh.
right after signing a ceasefire or like a pact of non-aggression. So the moment the Kurds pulled their troops from the border, Turkey started shelling it, and it's all because Trump pulled our soldiers out.
Hmm.
It's really fucked up. So
Yeah.
I'm super
No,
mad
I
about
think
that still.
yeah, no, I think it's important to pull the troops out, but you have to make sure like everything's gonna be like stable. You can't just like fucking go and leave like, you know, that to happen. You have to help them a
Yeah.
little bit.
There are
Like
so
I'm
many
fine.
places in the world where we could take our soldiers out, and that would make the world a better place. And just a
Yeah.
few places where keeping them there makes the world a better place. And I
Yeah,
just want
like
them to stay there.
like we're still in Afghanistan. I just made a video about that,
Yeah,
but
yeah, the papers.
like
Oh boy.
yeah, yeah. Really bad, really bad. But yeah, that's sad. I didn't know that. That sucks.
Yeah, there were a lot of lefties that were like just absolutely creaming their boy shorts. Like every day we wake up like Rojava, did this cool thing, and now they're still fighting right now. There's probably someone
Mhm.
dying like in the dirt, like as I speak. It's probably going to be over by like middle of next year. It's just really unfortunate.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah.
Um, so you're not like an anti-imperialist?
I think that I would call myself anti-imperialist, but probably I'm agnostic on interventionalism. I think there
Mm-hmm.
are areas in which American intervention is superior to the influence of other places. I think Rojava would have been an excellent example. There
Mm-hmm.
are a few others too. Though I'd want to like research up before I make a fool of myself spouting them off. But there are some places where there are worse things than America. China and Russia both have the capacity to do far worse things than us, like in the
Mm-hmm.
long term, because they don't even have like democratic like internal processes to keep them in check.
All right, that makes sense.
Yeah. Anyways, sorry. It's like some doomer shit,
No,
but it's
it's okay.
always in the back of my mind. Um, do you do you do you have a strong position against socialism, like as a concept, or are you more like agnostic on it?
I'm just kind of the type of person that's like, I don't think it will in America. I don't think it will happen or work. Is that what is that? What would you call that?
Um, well, for me, that would be the doomer position, but since you
Yeah.
don't want a socialist America, for you, that would
Well,
probably be the pragmatist position.
like in a like I like well like I like the free market. Is that bad?
It depends.
But
It
like
depends on how free
I
we're
think
talking. You probably don't
in
like
that's
tenement
why
facilities and children working at 12.
oh no, not not like the like the super libertarian stereotype, but I mean like I guess that's why I'm a social democrat. It's just because I think we could have social programs like free healthcare and education and shit like that in a capitalist economy or free market economy.
I got you. I mean, I'm a fan of markets as well. I'm a libertarian socialist or an anarcho-syndicalist
Hmm.
further on down the line. I think that markets can, within like a really limited space, like a tightly
Hmm.
controlled space for luxury goods, for example, or for frivolities, that they can be a really uplifting, empowering force for humans. And I support the decommodification of all like essentials,
Hmm.
like food or housing or medical care or whatever. I think those are human rights. I think you should be resources
Yeah,
affording, you should be able to get them.
yeah, I said that in a tweet once. Food, housing, water, healthcare, all human rights, and I got ratioed.
Yeah, come on. I mean, what the fuck is the point? Every single
I
time
don't.
society gets better, it's because we make a move in this fucking direction. When we make food accessible and affordable to people, society gets better. When we make
But like,
education accessible to people, the world gets
what?
better. Like, it
But like,
improves
what
it.
do they think food stamps are? Like, I don't like. That's isn't that helps?
They hated her for
That's
telling the
food.
truth. They don't give a fuck about the poor, dude. I swear to God, I'm get canceled for this or whatever. But your average like middle to upper middle class like white dude in the suburbs does not give a single solitary shit about like the poor,
Yeah,
um,
I kind of.
at all.
Sorry.
No,
I
please.
learned during Thanksgiving. I had like political discussion with my family, which is always fun.
Hmm.
And it's just so funny. My Long Island aunts and uncles, they're like, Trump is making my taxes good, so I don't care. I'll vote for him again. And just like me and my fiance were just like cringing inside because it's like I don't this position of like, oh, I got mine or whatever, like actually doesn't make sense to me, which is part of the reason I am so bad at like debating and I guess debunking right wingers because and libertarians because they have this mindset that I just don't get. They're just like, oh, I don't want my taxes higher, and that's like it. It's like a wall, and
Yeah,
like you can't
I
you
can't.
can't get through it.
I can't tell if it's because they're too stupid to realize that taxes benefit everyone, even if you're taxed more highly, as long as they're spent in the right places, or because they legitimately just don't have empathy. It's really hard to tell, but it's basically a coin flip between the two.
But it's like I don't know, like I like talked to a conservative the other day, and I was just like, well, as a conservative, like, don't you want your country to like thrive and shit like that? Like, why don't you want the next generation to be educated or have healthcare? Like, and also healthcare would, help people make families and stuff like that. Like, I feel like I don't know. It's just so weird. Like I try to get on their level to like fight with them and like talk to them, but it's just like this wall of nope. not paying more taxes.
Every,
It's like,
and
okay.
what's really frustrating is that a lot of these social programs end up paying back dividends. Every
Mhm.
dollar that you put into investing in sex education and free contraceptives in certain communities pays back like $7 because you don't have a bunch of fucking oops babies who end up being drains in the system. And when food
Mhm.
stamps mean that you don't have mass starvation and famines going on in our ghettos, which by the
Mhm.
way means a hell of a lot less money being spent at our hospitals and a hell of a lot less money being spent on our police forces who are having to arrest people who are literally shooting each other over loaves of bread. Every dollar we put into education means we can invest more highly in the high tier like tech jobs that are the backbone of American industrial infrastructure these days. Every
Mhm.
like all of these social programs end up benefiting everyone in the long run. Some people they just don't care. Some people just don't
Yeah, they're
care.
like they're like, I'm not giving money to the government, but like that money is going to us. It's not just going. It's like coming back to us. Like it's we get healthcare. Everyone gets health. Like they act like they get it. They're like they don't understand that they also get healthcare. They also get free education and stuff. And it's just like that's why I wind up fighting more with like what would you call them, neoliberals,
Yeah.
because at least like they are willing to they understand the tax thing. Like they understand we want to help people. They understand like, oh, like this we want to help the poor and the middle class and everything. I'm better at like understanding where those people are coming from and like arguing with them than I am like a person who's just like, oh no, yeah, no, the government gets none of my money.
Yeah,
It's
there's a
like,
difference
okay.
between people who vote for austerity and people who vote for austerity with contempt. And I think those are
Mhm.
a pretty huge dividing line. I mean, you're basically arguing the reasons why I advocate for the socialist policies that I do. If you support the decommodification of living essentials, housing,
Mhm.
food, and what have you, then the only real step beyond that is the democratic ownership of the means of production. Before but pardon me for leading you on this in this blatant and obvious attempt to shoehorn my political ideology in. But I assume that prior to doing this online stuff, you worked a conventional wage job, yes?
Mhm.
What did you do?
Well, I had a few jobs. But the last job I had, I worked just in the mall, like at a skincare place.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Oh, wait,
Mhm.
wait. Was it? I'm sorry. When I imagine that, I think of it. It's like pleasant. Was it like pleasant or was it hellish?
Oh, it was nice. I liked it.
Oh, okay.
I'm really interested in like skincare and stuff like that, like dermatology stuff. Yeah. So that's what I did for a
Nice.
long time. Yeah.
I was mostly just security. um,
Oh.
yeah, I was, which by the way, security, as it turns out, entails a hell of a lot of like telling the homeless people to move on. It's very unfortunate.
Oh, I actually have a story about security. I worked
Yeah.
in Sephora for a little while. I don't know if you know what that is. It's a makeup store. And I was basically security during the holidays. I only worked there for like a month, and they would racially profile people. They would tell me to like go follow these people, and they were always the black teenagers. I noticed, and what happened because like they would always assume they were stealing,
Hmm.
and what happened is it wasn't ever the black teenagers. It was always the groups of the little white girls, and I always would notice that, and that was kind of interesting. This was in like 2012. But yeah, I was on like security duty. That's all they had me do, not makeup stuff. And it was just like, yeah.
That's the ultimate fucking tag team combo though, okay? When you go into a nice store, you got your friends, you split into two groups. You've got the big black dudes in the hoodies, you know, and they like lumber around like
Yeah.
walking looking around. And then you have like the little like fucking girls and they're doing all the work while all the security's eyes are on the black dudes. It's actually a
Yeah.
flawless grift.
Yeah, it was like, it was crazy. But yeah, we were
Uh,
basically both security guards then, I guess.
I'm happy to say that my management never actually told me to just like look for the black dudes. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
the only time anything like that ever happened was kind of the opposite. I was just wandering around the store, like you know, I was just wandering a circle, and I'd say like hi to people occasionally, you know, because I'm not gonna just fucking walk by people. It's like
Yeah.
11 p.m. Like I've been trying to be social. God, let me have a life. And I'm walking by the checkout line. There's this really tall black guy there, and I give him a look. I'm like, howdy. and I keep going.
Yeah.
And later he complained to my manager that I was racially profiling him,
Mm-hmm.
because I had said howdy to him and like looked him in the eye and hadn't done that to anyone else in line. But he was just the
Yeah,
tallest. He was the only one I could see.
my manager was black though. I know that doesn't matter, but she would always like racially profile people, which was, I don't know, but yeah, that sucks.
Dude,
Now
that
that
shit
I'm thinking about
happens.
it now.
My manager was
Hmm.
black too, and
Yeah.
I was working there during the Ferguson riots. And I remember one time talking with her. I was like, "Hey, are you keeping up with what's going on in like fucking Ferguson and Baltimore and shit?" And she was like, "Oh, I don't really want to talk about politics with her." And I'm like, I super don't care.
Hmm.
I'm just curious. I'm not going to report you. I'm not a fucking narc." And she was like, "Well, personally, I think those people just need to learn how to behave and like get in line. You know, they're acting like
Oh my
animals."
God.
And I was like, "Okay, all right." Never
Oh my.
mind. I'm just gonna go back to walking around the store.
Oh, that's actually an interesting thing, talking about things that we've changed our minds on or whatever.
Hmm.
So back in the day, during Ferguson and all that shit, I was in a huge echo chamber. I would only follow right-wing people and like centrist types of people. And all I saw was the bad parts of Black Lives Matter, like
Hmm.
the rioting and like, but not like the protest rioting, like the lighting buildings on fire and also interrupting pride parades. I thought that was bad. And then also like um interrupting Bernie's speech. I was really mad about that. But like that's all I would see. And so I had some hot takes about Black Lives Matter back in the day. I'd be like,
My chat
oh,
would
they
like to
just
remind you that rioting is the good part.
okay. Well, like back then I was like, why would they do this? But yeah, I had some hot takes about Black Lives Matter. I was like, oh, they want to start a race war. Like that was pretty bad. But like now looking back on it, I was like, okay, this is actually pretty fucked up. Like all the police and shit. Like this is actually a really big deal. Like then when I started following more left wing people who were posting all like the good they were doing, I was like, okay, I get it now. But
It's so
it's
faceted, you know. It's incredible how just being in like one space can only give you one
mhm,
understanding. I've had the same fucking misunderstanding come from left leaning spaces as well.
mhm,
One really embarrassing one was really early on in my streaming when I was just like a component of Destiny's community, you know.
mhm.
Really early on. Have you ever spoken to Destiny, by the way?
No, I have a Destiny story. You go, keep going.
Gotcha. You cut
You
out a
want?
bunch there. I don't know if
Oh,
your
sorry.
signal is okay, but I heard what you had to say. But I was really small, and I had heard from other people that XQC, who's like this Overwatch player, was super homophobic. And it turns out he just like one time like made an inappropriate like kind of homophobic comment. But I had heard he was
Mhm.
crazy fucking homophobic. And one time I got on stream like super fucking confidently, big swagger, like my legs bent so my balls can like swing to and fro. And I get up on there and I'm like, oh yeah, XQC, that huge homophobe. And
Mhm.
that late, like 5 minutes later, XQC was like in that call to talk with me. And I had no
Oh
idea the fuck
god.
I was talking about. I had just heard the people like circle jerking about how he was a homophobe. And I came
Mhm.
off looking like a huge fucking idiot. People made fun of me about it for months.
Oh, I've done that before. That's like the internet telephone game. You just
Yeah.
hear like gossip about somebody or whatever. This person's bad, and you're like, okay, that person's bad,
I don't
and then
listen
like
to
you
anyone
you
anymore.
run with it. Yeah.
I need sources
um,
on everything I talk about now.
my only interaction was Destiny with Destiny was I didn't know who he was. This was like 2017. I didn't know he was a YouTuber or streamer or whatever. And I like briefly disagreed with him on Twitter about something. I think he was like, "Oh, Christianity's just as bad as Islam or something."
I remember that. I
Yeah,
remember the
yeah. And
fallout from that discussion.
yeah, and I was just like, "Okay, but like right now, would you say that currently? Like I don't think so, blah blah blah." And I just wanted to have, a Twitter conversation. I didn't know who he was. I thought he was just another guy. And then all of a sudden he's like, debate me, debate me, debate me on stream, debate me on. And then like I got dogged by old fans being like, debate him, coward, go on stream, coward. I'm like, who the fuck even is this? What would we even like? I don't know how much we even disagree. Like he clearly just saw that I was like a YouTuber and like get on stream with me, and I didn't even know. Like I just was having a normal Twitter conversation with someone. It was crazy. But yeah, and now and now Destiny hates me and like I'm like, okay, like I've seen some of his stuff, like I like his content, but like That was nuts. And I was just like,
Yeah, it's so characteristic of him though, especially back in that era. He's gone kind of a different. It's off topic. He's gone a different direction lately. He's gone on his
oh, okay.
anti-left arc that I'm.
Oh, wait, I saw some of that. I thought, okay, so he has a new Twitter account, right?
It got banned like less than a month ago by
Oh,
one of
oh,
my fucking chatters. By the way,
oh no.
apparently I'm involved. I'm implicated.
So I saw him have some take about Joe Biden, I think.
Yeah.
And I accidentally quote tweeted it thinking he was some like centristy neoliberal guy. I was just like, what the fuck is this? LOL. And everyone's like, oh yeah, that's Destiny, Destiny, Destiny. And I was like, oh shit, I deleted it really quick.
Oh
Because I didn't
shit!
want
Yeah, back up. Wait.
I didn't want Destiny to do the debate me bro thing again. And I was just like, oh fuck, oh no. Yeah, I didn't know that it was his new account.
Yeah, it's gone now, but yeah, he's had a good old. He used to be a Bernie supporter, but he's a lot of Bernie's protectionist policies have led him off. I also don't like Bernie's protectionist policies. I'm very much a globalist, like in an economic sense, but I think the benefits that he offers are tremendously outweigh. Bernie would have to do some heinous shit for me to not support him because the degree of authenticity he offers the office is unparalleled by any other candidate, like by miles. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, he's pushing the what is it, Overton window, just in general, so much. Like we're gonna see like you see it with like AOC and all those people like gonna start to run for office, which is really good. Like even if Bernie doesn't get in, just in general, like he's done a lot for the party, I think, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, like, does everyone remember like Hillary Clinton's platform back in 2016 before Bernie Sanders influenced it? It was some fucking Obama tier milquetoast shit. Like there was nothing even remotely populist or left leaning there. It was just a continuation of Obama era policies, maybe even more conservative. And he moved her over to be like a imperfect facsimile of him, and now everyone's trying to crib him. But we still stand our authentic original king, Bernie Sanderino.
Yeah, everybody was wearing the Bernie mask at first, and then like backpedal Medicare for the past few months. It was really funny to see.
Yeah. Warren, fucking
Yeah.
Buttigieg, fuck, everyone's backpedaling off Medicare for all. Everyone's sliding away from it. They're scared. Their donors are messaging them. They're getting the emails. You know, they're not burning.
Buttigieg was the worst one though because like he wrote a whole ass essay about how much he loves Bernie. Saw that. He was just like, Bernie's the best. Like I love socialism. Love Pete Buttigieg. And now he's just like this absolute hack. It's so funny.
Have you done the dance in a video yet, or are you saving it?
Yes, I have. Unfortunately.
Fuck, I missed that one.
It's so dystopian. It really is.
You mean seeing the hollow-eyed, like, white hordes of middle-aged people doing a synchronized... Yeah, it's truly horrifying.
And when someone criticized it, his campaign was like, well, excuse you, like, we made this dance with the disabled in mind. It's like, okay, but no healthcare for the disabled, I guess.
What a perfect representation of liberal fucking impulse sentimentality right there. This campaign dance is incredibly is attuned to the needs of the disabled. By the way, I hope you like premiums because we got premiums.
Oh my fucking god. It's the epitome of just like establishment Democrat. I love it.
You know what we could do to deal with that establishment?
Bull Moose Party.
Bull Moose Party, or though I like that. I like that line. The complete disenfranchisement of the bourgeoisie. How does it sound?
Okay. We could baby steps maybe.
Can I sell you on a pitch though?
Okay, go for it.
Have you ever worked? Probably not. They're not super common. For a worker co-op?
No.
You know what they are though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Describe it.
Yeah, basically just everyone who works at an enterprise. As soon as you sign up there, you get a share of ownership of the company. And,
yes.
Yeah, and usually they have like a democratic system inside, and they usually have like a threshold for wage disparities. So there is like an internal hierarchy. You know, like you vote on a manager who then gets out with other managers and votes on like an owner,
Mhm.
or not an owner, but like a higher tier of managers. But there's usually a threshold, so the people on the top don't make too much more than the people on the bottom. It kind of flattens the hierarchy a bit. I
Mhm.
I've done some research on worker co-ops because they're basically like mini socialism, you know, collective
Mhm.
ownership of the means production and stuff, and they seem like a really really stable economic system, at least from the data that I've seen. Like they're very resilient. They don't have like these crazy huge like systemic problems that cause them to collapse more often than regular traditionally owned businesses. And I guess what I kind of like the idea of, and I know this won't happen tomorrow, probably won't happen for quite a while, but it's something to push for, is if all businesses were made to operate in this way, we would have the two simultaneous goals of A, making sure that everyone has a democratic stake not only in their government but also in their workplace, which is where most people spend their days
Mhm.
anyway. It's been
Yeah,
shown to make people happier. Yeah.
I heard you talking to Sargon about that, and I agreed. The democracy in the workplace thing is something I never thought about,
It's
but
because we're so it's a product of ideology. Ideology
Mhm.
sniff. It's we purport to live in a democratic society, but most of people's day-to-day lives isn't democratic in the slightest. Most of the days we're just dealing with subsistence living, or surviving family members, grocery shopping, what have you. And once every 2 years we vote. And apart from that, the day-to-day we don't have much control over any of the systems in our lives. And I guess just the idea, I think people would feel a lot better about work, even if it's not the best work out there, you know?
Mhm.
If they had some degree of like control, not only
Mhm.
in the work they do, but in the system that surrounds that work. I think it would make people feel more empowered. And it seems to, from what I've seen, like data wise.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, like, I'm pro unions and stuff, but, I never really thought about that democracy in the workplace thing, but yeah. Um, have you seen those speaking of workplace, have you seen those toilets that are slanted?
yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. If you want to avoid the socialism talk, listen, I can
Oh,
go
no,
like
no, no, that
I
just
can no
reminded
no
me
no.
of
I
it.
can go calm workplace democracy
Go
normally. You remind me of those toilets. We're going revolutionary. I'm getting TOS'd right off of YouTube because the guillotines are coming out. Oh my fucking god, dude! Can you chat? For those of you who don't know, it's like a toilet and it's slant. It's 13 degrees slanted downward, so
Oh
you
my
have to
god,
like
it's
squat. You can't sit on it. You have to like squat on it. So the shits like. Will they get on your balls? No, it's not
no,
that. It's not that
it's
slanted.
supposed to hurt you. It's literally supposed to, like, make it painful to sit down for longer than 5 minutes. Like,
Well,
isn't that evil? That
I've got
seems
pretty big legs, so I think I could manage 6. But nah, that's pretty fucked up. It's like those the anti-homeless benches, you know? Um,
Yes!
yeah.
Oh, fuck, I hate them.
Yeah, I
Like,
feel anyone who unironically like proposes those at a city council meeting, I think like black bagged should be instantly like two men from behind the like a pivoting wall emerge
it's
and like take them away, you know?
yeah, like, when I go to the city, I live in New York, we see, like, there's, like, spikes on the ground where, like, homeless people will lay. There's, like, the benches are supposed to be made uncomfortable. Like,
With the bars, yeah.
they recently installed these benches that, like, are slanted up against the wall, so you can't even sit, you have to stand. It's like, I'm just I just wanted to come home from a long day in the city and sit down, but I can't because New York hates homeless people, I guess. Like, it's just like
Yeah.
it's very dystopian and sad.
The goal really
Um,
is just to make being homeless uh,
mhm.
illegal. Like
It's
you can't literally criminalize it, but oh god, you can make these people try to kill themselves every day of their lives, which functionally solves the problem. Really, um,
mhm.
it's genuinely disgusting. Hey guys, if you're ever walking around, downtown major metropolitan city, you got some like wire cutters and the right screwdriver. You can do a lot of city moves slowly. You could probably have a bench fixed for as long as 6 months before anyone gets back to replacing it. Just saying.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
sad.
it's really sad. You know what really sucks? Apparently, you know the term the village idiot.
Mhm.
Back in the day, like back in the village days, I guess, the medieval era, the feudal era, it was used as a term. I'm sure they had a different actual word for it, but the sentiment existed, and it wasn't actually meant derogatorily. It was meant as like the village child,
Mm-hmm.
Like this is we all like this person's simple-minded or feeble-minded, and we should all collectively work to make sure this person can live. They're a child under God too. Even back then, when people were starving, they had far less than we do now. And today, those in
Mm-hmm.
need, we literally spend hundreds of millions of dollars, like nationwide, to try and make it so they can't sleep comfortably.
Mm-hmm. It's sad.
Yeah.
And also, like, I saw somebody the other choice.
Oh, you cut out for a second. You saw someone the other.
Oh, sorry. I saw someone arguing that homelessness is a choice, and it was
Sounds like a neoliberal to me.
it was really sad.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, it's depressing. What do you do about the homeless problem, in your opinion?
The decommodification of housing would be a really good start. So it's such a like a multifaceted. So for one, I grew up in California. The reason there were so many homeless there is because Reagan shut down all the mental facilities back in the 1980s, poured tens of thousands of people who had no ability to live on their own, gave them all $200 and a bus ticket. The county that I went to college in, Humboldt, was actually one of the counties that had relatively good, which means bad, but not as bad as other places, care for homeless people. Other cities would round up their homeless and give them bus tickets to Humboldt on Greyhound. So we had a
Mm-hmm.
huge community there. And in the years that I spent there in university, they mobilized multiple police raids to destroy the housing that they had constructed for themselves.
Wow.
Their camps and stuff. I actually went to a police like public hearing the day of them taking down one of those
Mm-hmm.
homeless facilities, and the problem just got worse and worse and worse with time.
Well,
It's crazy.
speaking of Pete Buttigieg, he actually did that in his city.
Yeah.
When he was the mayor, he just like scooped up a bunch of homeless people's like little tents and shit they made.
All
It
because the
was really
fucking
sad.
business owners nearby complain about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it
Exactly.
takes. You just need a couple strongly worded letters from a fucking Starbucks manager, and you can get like dozens of people's lives uprooted. They're worth less than the public perception of the neighborhood that the Starbucks exists within.
Yeah. Sad.
It's an intersection of so many collective problems, you know, improper mental health care, the lack of decommodified housing, the fact that our cities are unwilling to invest in like halfway houses or treatment centers. There's so many things that could be done, and there's no money on the books to do any of it. And we keep getting
Mm-hmm.
stadiums built, and we keep getting uh, uh, um, like new football arenas constructed, and all
Mm-hmm.
the other superfluities that should be coming after human life.
Are you pro decriminalizing drugs?
Yeah, I
Or
am.
legalizing
Yeah,
them?
totally.
Okay.
I still think that I go back and forth on this. I think if you're selling drugs like for distribution purposes, maybe certain drugs, not like weed, but like
Mm-hmm.
methamphetamines or opiates, I think that could probably carry a prison sentence.
Mm-hmm.
But the consumption of those things should 100% be considered a health issue.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree.
I think, I don't know. I'd need to look more. Wasn't there a country that tried to implement that, like Peru or something, and they did an incredibly good job with the decriminalization of drugs?
Portugal, I think.
Was it Portugal? It was Portugal, yeah. Chat
Mm-hmm.
says as well. Let's listen. Hey, P word, vaguely Latin. Listen, okay. I'm doing my best. Um, uh,
Yeah.
anyway,
Does
so
the chat
doomer.
want to ask me things?
Actually, yeah, I would love that. Wait, chat, you guys don't need to donate. If you donate, though, I make more money, which is always good. But fucking ask Shoe0nHead some questions. Shoe0nHead with 1.3 million YouTube subs can acknowledge your existence for a brief moment. Are we going to
Oh my
cover?
god.
Are we going to cover the debate together? As fun as that would be, I probably not. I imagine that Shoe has her own plans over the next 5 hours.
Oh no, I don't, but that's fine.
Well,
If you don't want to hang out with me, that's fine.
would you be interested in popping in for like whatever portion of the debate coverage I'm doing that you feel comfortable for?
If your chat wants me to, I don't want to like.
Chat will never say no to you being here.
I don't want to be like annoying, but
Chat. I'm sure you can see chat right now. I don't think you should be
oh,
too
okay, I
concerned.
see.
Oh wait, really quickly, there was one last important question. Okay,
Oh.
I've heard rumors that you are associated with a nefarious alt-right figure named Armored Skeptic. Do you deny these allegations?
Oh god, I have a story about him actually.
Yeah, hit it up.
That
Yeah.
alt-right figure. So like, he watches your videos all the time now. I think I accidentally got him into your videos,
Oh shit! I got
and
better up my quality.
and now he's like, and now he's like, he like straight up was like, oh, if every like left winger on YouTube was like Vosh from the beginning, there'd probably be no anti-SJW community.
Aww.
There would be like, yeah, he was like, shit, this is good. And like, you'll critique people he used to like and be fans of, and now he's like, fuck, I can't watch those people anymore. He ruined those people.
I'm sorry. That's very wholesome and sweet and elevating. Thank you, Greg. And thank you, June. With the sincerity, we bust out the first names. You know how it be.
Yeah. It's funny though. But you know, I have a feeling you guys get along if you talk, but
I don't doubt it. I would love to talk with him sometime in the future. Yeah. I actually I've only done one of his videos on stream, and it was actually frustrating for me because remember what I said about XQC, and like I'd heard from other people that he was super homophobic, so I made a fool of myself. I'd heard from other people that Armored Skeptic was like this crazy like Sargon figure or whatever. So I boot up a video. I never do any research in the videos that I boot up because the goal is always to prove that these arguments are so bad I can dissect them with no warning. Like I can just do it like off the cuff. I don't need a video essay. And I brought up one of his videos, and it was on postmodernism, and most of it was completely fine and correct. So I just sat there and watched the video.
I don't think he agrees with that anymore. I'm not sure, actually. I know that like a lot of people debunked it, and then he winded up making a video like correcting himself.
Yeah, there were some parts of it that were like technical, but I was expecting some crazy fucking like the this conspiracy theory to promote anti-white. Yeah, but I was completely.
It was relatively tame. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah. A Comrade Cora implores you to accept their friend request on Discord.
Oh, yeah, I love Cora. Okay.
And Somniostatic says, Shoe, I want to apologize for being mean to you on Twitter, at Somnio. I was part of the whole You Must Repent gang. You have some good takes so far on here.
Oh, cool. Okay, that's okay. Everyone's kind of very online, and we're all very mean to each other sometimes. That's fine.
That is fucking true. So, guys, I'll read out now any donos that that pertain to Shoe or like questions for her or whatever, and all those donos I'll go over after, obviously, because don't want to ignore you guys. Shoe, what do you think we can do about the cultural stigma of homeless people? Like my Long Island mom is genuinely terrified of homeless people because of years of indoctrination.
So my parents are kind of similar. When we go to the city, I'll be like, oh, like, can we, like, I'll take out a $5 or whatever and give it to the homeless person, and my parents will be like, oh, they're just gonna buy drugs. Like, it's like, ugh, that, I don't know how people just have, I don't know how you could like teach people to have empathy. Oh, by the way, my parents aren't terrible people. They're just, again, they grew up thinking like, oh, they're just gonna buy drugs with that, blah, blah, blah. That's always the thing. And it's hard, like, how do you teach empathy to people, like, for the homeless? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Like, you have to just tell them, like, a lot of them have mental problems. A lot of them, it's hard for them to get jobs. A lot of them, yeah, they did suffer from, like, addiction or still do. But ending the stigma, I don't know. I didn't even know,
it's
like,
tough.
Yeah, how would we do that? I don't know.
Ismail Bitch says, hey, Shoe, how serious would you say Skeptic is about the mud flood conspiracy theory? I don't know what this is.
Oh, he just loves conspiracies. Like, he doesn't believe in them, but he just loves exploring them and talking about them. So I don't think he's serious about them. I know that he just, like, every other month he has some conspiracy that he's obsessed with, and he'll just, like, talk to me about it. But I don't think he doesn't believe it. But yeah, it's just fun.
What
it's
is
like
the mud flood conspiracy?
You'd have to talk to him about it.
Okay, gotcha.
But it's just there's like a conspiracy that a long time ago there was just like a flood. It's not like a religious thing, but there was a flood and shit. Like a lot of history was like literally covered, like cities and stuff. It's a pretty interesting theory. It's very like I don't know, it's just alternative history, I guess. But yeah, you'd have to talk to him about it because fuck if I know. I don't know.
Gotcha. What's your opinion on drug decriminalization?
Same as yours, just dealers and think people like that should face some kind of consequence, and people who are addicted or use it should be there should be like rehab for them, and also like safe, what are they called, safe like shoot up areas. I don't want to call them that, but you
Yeah.
know what I mean.
Safe injection
Yeah,
sites.
yeah. Places like that for people.
Gotcha. Question for Shoe. Do you know what capitalist realism is?
No, I do not.
All right, fair. That's an answer.
Do you know what it is? I don't know.
I'm not giving you the answer.
Okay.
No, I'm lying. I have no fucking clue. I have no fucking idea what capitalism realism is. Tommy Jenkins asks, "Hey Shoe, are you still in contact with any of the folks you used to pal around with in the anti-SJW sphere, i.e. Blair White, Chris Ray Gun, etc.? If so, how have your relationships with them changed?"
There's a lot of them that I haven't talked to in years. Like Sargon, for example. But there's some people like I talk to Chris. I talk to Blair every now and then, especially about the Onision thing that's happening.
Right.
But mostly I think for a lot of them, we kind of are distant now. They kind of do their own thing now. Our community kind of like disintegrated in 2016. There was this huge schism within it after Trump won. It was like we saw who like the more left-wing anti-SJW types were, and then the more right-wing. There was like a fucking anti-SJW civil war.
So we blinked, and then there were the like anti-SJWs who didn't like manspreading, and the anti-SJWs who didn't like the Jewish degradation of Western culture.
Yeah, it was
like
nuts.
that.
It was crazy. I don't know what happened. But yeah, that was the thing. But yeah, I don't talk to a lot of people. Like VidCon in 2018 was a little depressing. There was not a lot going on.
Well, I hope I can see you there in 2020.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I assume you and Greg would come, because me and my partner would come. Nice. We can go get a fucking big ass meal or something.
Yeah, but we can't take a picture together because then we're gonna get canceled.
If by 2020 I haven't ironed out all of the remnant fucking woke scoldy types in my community, then I don't even know what I'm doing. Posadas John asks, "Do you support personal ownership of nuclear weapons?"
Oh no! What is that? I've never even thought of that.
You should Google. It's beyond me. You should Google Posadism sometime. It's I think Greg might like it.
Okay.
It's a good time. Historical Hungarica asks, maybe a bit of a similar question. Thoughts about Lauren Southern, Blair White, Sargon, Medicare? Why Shoe blocks people left and right on Twitter? I know the answer to the right one. I need the last one because I fucking do too. But yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna give my thoughts on every little person, but
reasonable.
Why do I block people? I don't know. Sometimes people just aren't good faith. Don't want good faith discussions, or just are persistent or harassing. So I don't know.
My only
sometimes it's just like mad online, and I'm just like,
yeah, fuck those people. But you have crazy amount of engagement. Like, of course, we have to curtail something. The only people I block online are people who accuse me of being a rapist. It's that specifically, and neo-Nazis. And I always check the bio too. I don't just see the Pepe and assume. I always check, and I always find a fucking retweet from DSA Striker or from Fuentes or something like that. And if I find that, I block them, because why even bother? They can watch my fucking videos and jerk off in the comment section. Marcus asks, "Hey June, what do you think of the Irish question?"
Oh, I've seen that meme before. I don't know. They control all our media. They control the government.
Heard it here first, folks.
Yeah. I'm half Irish, so I could say that, right? That's how that works.
Hey, me too. No big deal, huh? Hey, don't give the game away. No, it's true though. Actually, in my family home back in LA, my father has his grandfather's shillelagh mounted above the entrance to the den. It's an no shit 150-year-old fucking wooden staff, a shillelagh that came from the old land. Hey Shoe, Chank 2020.
Not 2020, but I support Shank in Congress. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well,
Even though I don't really like him. Like he's had a lot of takes that I don't agree with. But after what happened recently, like the establishment all on his ass and everything, like I can't help but support him.
yeah, dude,
Like
the media smears against him have
yeah,
been
that was gross.
fucking disgusting, dude, and involving his fucking nephew Hassan.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
crazy how they think they can get away with that, and they totally can.
It's
So
it's really desperate. And I don't know, they wanted to connect him to Bernie so badly too.
yeah.
It's like so transparent.
How long do you have? Because I don't want to deluge you with questions. Like 15, 20?
Vosh, I literally don't have a life, so
Okay.
I'm
All
not
right,
doing
cool.
anything. It's
We're
fine.
going through the damn donos. We'll go through donos pertaining to you, and then I'm gonna need to hop off stream for an hour and a half so I can chill and have a fucking lunch before the debates, and then after that I'm coming right back on D Live.
All right, cool.
D Live. Excuse me. Jack Attack LP with the $5. Unironically, the only good thing I got from my Sargon days is you and Greg. Much non-parasocial love.
Oh, that's nice.
That's really sweet.
Thanks.
Jack Attack is really nice. Pig Puncher. Oh, hey, Pig! Tell Shoe I got banned off Twitter again and did not block her or ghost her or anything. I don't know what her Discord is, but tell her to add me. I enjoy talking to her when I still at Twitter. Well, you can just directly refer to her because I'm reading it out loud. But
Yeah.
yes, Pig Puncher has been on a Twitter banning spree.
This poor boy has been banned like 7 times now.
Yep. It really sucks. Well, I mean, even the meme questions. Kanga asks, Shoe opinion on Croc Vosh being an emote on v.gg?
What's that?
I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
There's an emote. I think he wants it added to the website, but
oh. So do I have to give my opinion?
A strong yes or no.
I approve Croc Vosh now.
Ah, shit. Well, fucking now we have to do it. Okay.
I don't know what it is. I'm sorry. I don't know what I approved of.
It's bestiality. It's a bestiality emote. Now everyone's going to see it every time people type it out.
Oh, fuck.
Disgusting. All right. Well, no, we've got approval now.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Okay. Blooper asks, ask Shoe what she thinks about maps. I assume, I think I know your opinion on this.
Yeah, I made like 3 videos about them.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're bad. Yeah.
Can you clarify? Because it's a euphemism. I don't know if everyone here knows what.
It's minor attracted persons, like the PC term pedophiles are giving themselves now.
What do you think? What do you think about no maps? The ones who are being like, we're all legit. Because I agree. I don't think we should like shame pedophiles who are trying to get help and not like bother anyone. But I feel like a lot of the no map community isn't, and it's just trying to legitimize pedophilia as a sexuality.
So, oh my god, I can go off about this, but the no map people are not good people because what they do is they're advocating to normalize it, even if they're like actually want to touch kids. They're still like, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, we're part of the LGBT community. Like, and that fucking like, it's not no.
Yeah, that's some cringy shit. Comrade Cora donates to express the exact same sentiment as Pig Puncher, which I believe she donated that before I answered her earlier question. So thank you for the additional $5. And I hope your recently made new, fresh, not banned Twitter account and shoes are made one soon enough. You don't have to, of course. But hey, Shoe, what are your thoughts on Sargon now?
I don't know. Like, again, we haven't talked in a really long time. I don't know what his opinion of me is. But I've seen some of his videos and like some of his takes are crazy now. Like he was like, oh, like women are supposed to have babies. Like that's their entire, like that's what makes them women. That's the last take I saw of him. I'm just like, Sargon, what is going on? Yeah. What? It's just like, I don't know, but like I don't know. I don't want to like.
No, I get it. Yeah. But, we all have relationships to maintain.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if Sargon would even consider me a friend anymore. Like, I don't know, but his takes are like off the wall lately.
Yeah, I
But
mean, the most recent discussion I had with him, he said that London like was no longer a British city because there were less than 50% white people in it or something like that.
mhm.
So,
Well, isn't that most cities?
yeah, I mean, I think LA, like I grew up in LA. I mean, I think LA is pretty fucking American. I feel pretty American when I'm wandering around LA. I don't know how many white people there are in there, but it's funny because doesn't Carl have a black stepdaughter? I have no. Okay, I have no fucking idea. Whatever. It's super weird.
I think he's like 1/4 black, or was that? I don't know if that was a meme.
I have no
I
fucking
don't. I
idea.
don't know. I don't know.
Who knows what people are saying anymore?
Someone
Um,
said Octoroon. Fucking Richard Spencer.
used to own. 100 years ago, I would have owned these motherfuckers.
Oh my
Um,
god.
hey, thoughts on Vosh? I think he's dumb and has the back of a 60-year-old man. Oh, because I hurt my back at the gym. Oh.
Vosh is a commie. Yeah, he bad.
But how's my back though? Is it? Are we
I don't. The
20s, 30s?
boomer back.
Boom, boomer back. All right,
Boomer back.
I see. Okay. Somniostatic follows up and says, Shoe capitalist realism is the idea that capitalism is the only thing that can ever really work because it's what we've lived in, grown up with, and been taught. I think it's why people fear socialism. Okay, that makes sense. I think I've heard that term before. Isn't that like a subcomponent of ideology, like the Marxian concept? But yeah, okay, apparently that's what that means. Thank you for the Google search, comrade.
Do I agree with that? I think I sort of agree with that in a way. I think it does work. Well, it has issues, obviously, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm probably a capitalist realist. I think so.
Yeah, it would the same argument you can make for feudalism, right? Like if you tried to make feudalism happen right now, people would go fucking insane, like instantly.
Mhm.
But feudalism functioned for like 1,000 years because people didn't have an understanding of any systems that might be able to follow through with it. Because democracy was considered to be like naive and weak and ineffectual at the time. Because the peasantry weren't smart enough to take care of
Mhm.
themselves. So it was the idea that kept sort of the system in place, you know?
Do you realistically think that America could be a socialist country?
I think that a revolution is inevitable sometime within the next century. Not a
Mhm.
socialist revolution, mind you, just a revolution. As income
Mhm.
inequality grows to a point where there are like two worlds living on the same, on the same planet, two like societies, and we feel we no longer have any chance of actually getting our like values represented in the democratic process. Eventually, something's going to snap, especially with global warming and climate refugees, and governments are going to grow more and more incapable of dealing with all these external pressures, and eventually something's going to happen. And my concern
Mhm.
is that right now, if that revolution happened, it would turn into it would go fascist. It would be a fascist revolution. We
Mhm.
would snap. We would like cull or deport all of the migrant refugees. We would talk about how we need to return to the simpler times of like a white nation, return to the ideology of our founding fathers, and there would be just blood running through the streets. And I want to make
Mhm.
sure I disseminate ideology which encourages people to lend more towards a socialist revolution, where they snap and they take their anger out on the people who actually run society rather than the people who will be scapegoated for whatever societal problems we have in the future.
Mhm.
That's my
Yeah,
gist.
that's the problem. A lot of things are being scapegoated to immigrants and people like that when it's really just the economy is shit.
It's an age-old
Oh wait.
story, you know? That's one of the reasons unions didn't work so well back in the late 19th century. It's because the racist union leaders wouldn't let blacks in on it, so black workers would just strike break, because why the fuck would they risk their jobs for a union that doesn't even let them in? Race has always been a dividing element amongst class issues, and it's usually been propagated along those lines, like, pretty deliberately. So I just want to avoid that, I guess.
Mhm.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Counterpoint says, "Hey, just wanted to dono to support smart liberals and leftists talking instead of scolding the hell out of each other. More of this, please. Need coalition against groypers and social conservatives." Yes, I completely agree in all instances.
Yep,
Have you been following the Fuentes stuff at all? The Groyper Nation stuff?
I have. It it's amusing.
Hmm.
I like watching the conservative ink people kind of be temporarily embarrassed, but it's also kind of scary because like the one guy went up and was like, "Hey, we don't want gays in our crowd like cheered.
Yeah.
And that was like, fuck, that's actually pretty scary.
Yeah,
What?
what are we preserving? Like, how does anal sex help
Mhm.
us win the culture war? It's like, okay, I mean, this is fun and all, but I'd like to preserve the anal sex if at all possible. If we could find a way to have our cultural revolution while
Yeah,
maintaining,
that's as much as I've been paying attention.
yeah, anal sex helps us
Yeah.
with everything.
Yeah.
Shu, do you love black people?
I love black people. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad you answered the question. That's good. Just making sure. You never know. Some of these weaklings, they skip around it. Um, what is Shu's opinion of Tulsi and Modi? Hashtag Kashmir.
I think that's kind of been blown out of proportion, but she also met with rival and like has take pictures with him, the other guy, right? Is that right? Yeah, I don't know. I think that's kind of what do you think? Because I don't know. I think that whole thing was blown out because she meets a lot of people from all over the world, all
I
different
think
leaders.
the main issue is that Modi was banned from the U.S. after he supervised or like oversaw the lynching of a bunch of Muslims during like a riot portion. But
Oh,
she she
really?
she like pushed for him to be brought in, but her back into the U.S. like to stop being excluded. But
Oh.
her argument was that India is a huge country. Whether or not we agree with his decisions, we need to have him in. Because
Mhm.
we need to be able to like diplomatically engage with him to try and like
Mhm.
resolve the conflict rather than just excluding him entirely, which is not a bad
Yeah,
argument.
that's what I heard.
Yeah,
So
but I don't know
yeah,
how sincerely it was being offered, but I can't assess that, so I don't really know.
she's really big on the diplomacy stuff. So that makes sense.
Yeah. Hey Shu, hey Shu, did you know Vosh is into vanilla sex and kink shames his chat all the time? You can answer that as you like, but they're lying. I only kink shame
No
them for
king.
legitimate degeneracy for which they deserve to be kink shamed.
Okay, I believe it.
All right, thank. Uh, hey Miss Shu, what's your Epstein take?
Oh, I think that he's in witness protection.
Oh. Oh, the
Mhm.
conspiracy deep. You think so? You think it was like a body
Mhm.
double?
Yeah, I think he, paid people off obviously somewhere, hiding out, not dead, obviously. But that's my conspiracy. Yeah.
Fair. Hey, be careful. I have one person in my community who believes that Epstein actually killed himself, and it was
Oh,
Somniostatic, one of the people who donated to you earlier. Okay. Oh,
okay.
oh, oh! There he is. Ah, shit! All right, we've been found out. The feds are here. Um. All
That's
right,
it's a
chat.
very big brain theory.
Big brain.
Mhm.
Chat, I'm looking at you right now. Hit me up. Give me one or two more good ones, and then I need time to get some lunch before the shit show. I fucking hate the Dem debates. Please God.
I know, they're so bad.
Yeah. For the Dem debates though, I mean, I'll stay on the I'll just be on Discord and stream and stuff, and I'll keep the Discord window open. So just like whenever you want to jump in, hit me the fuck up. Please God, spare me from the solo 3 hour
Okay,
endeavor.
you tell me when you want me to jump in,
I'm
and I
fine. I'll
will.
message you at the fucking beginning then. I don't have any shame. I don't
Okay.
care. Oh, hey, oh yes, this is important. Hey, Shu, did you hear that J.K. Rowling went full mask off turf today? Vosh, what about you? One of the turfs on Twitter literally said, "Identity is a dangerous illusion." Hmm.
Well, I know there was, like, a rumor that she was a TERF because she liked something about, like, men in dresses or um, I don't know, I don't really like JK Rowling with all her, like, "By the way, Dumbledore's gay," like, that shit when, like, she won't actually put it in her books and shit, like, she'll just be like, "By the way, this person's gay, this person's trans," like but I didn't really know about her being a TERF, but
Oh, can I fill you in on the latest drama? Because something happened eight
sure,
hours
yeah.
ago. So essentially, some larger figure, I don't even know if they were a public figure, but somebody got fired from their workplace because, and pardon me, chat, let me know if I'm misremembering this. Somebody got fired from their workplace, a woman, essentially for harassing a trans woman with whom she worked, saying stuff like, that not only that she wasn't a woman, but that she was a man, that she was,
Mm.
that she was deluding herself and what have you. And when she protested her firing, she tried to argue that it was her contract wasn't renewed. Oh, okay, fine. Contract wasn't renewed, not firing. She argued that it was her philosophy that trans women are not women, that they are in fact men, and for that reason she should be protected from any reciprocatory punishment. To which the whatever arbiter was used there, I don't think it was a court, responded with, your philosophy ceases to become legally defensible when it entails the dehumanization of another. And she went to Twitter complaining about this, and J.K. Rowling stood up for her, saying like, I can't believe this woman has been fired for saying that biological sex exists, or something along those lines.
Yeah, they always kind of frame it like that, like, oh, I'm just stating facts. But when you look into it, it's like they were literally just, harassing. Like, you can't go up to a trans woman. Fact. Like, that's still harassment. So
Yeah,
that's kind of
it's such a
shitty.
deflection because they're too fucking cowardly to actually assert their genuine position. Like, everyone would agree on this. If you had a fucking black coworker and you were like, "Hey, my dude, did you know that 13% of the population commits 52% of the crime? Did you know that African Americans have a lower average IQ than white?" And then when I'm inevitably fired, guys, I'm stating fact. This isn't harassment. This is biological reality. No, shut the fuck up. You know what you're doing. It's harassment. Trying to turn the fact that you're engaging in harassment into an ideological argument over whether or not the validity of trans people is in question is super disingenuous. They do that every single fucking time. I was just stating facts, That shit fucking triggers me. Trans people are such a good microcosm. Trans people, like in a political arena, are like almost irrelevant to the broader problems of the world. They're a small minority of the population. Most people don't know a trans person, or don't think they know a trans person. And we have way fucking larger problems with our economy and global warming and stuff. But they're so important because they're like the canary in the coal mine when it comes to reactionary politics. They're like on the front line right now,
Well, yeah, that's like with the bathroom debate. It's like trans people have been using their bathrooms for centuries, like years, decades, and there was really no talk about it because they would just go to the bathroom they, identified as or whatever. And then all of a sudden it became a thing. And it's like, it was never a problem.
Yeah, it was always a thing. It never wasn't a thing. You just suddenly decided to get mad about it. We always have to fight at the front line. We can't give that shit up, even if it's small. Even if the next fucking argument is like robot rights or some dumb shit like that, fucking 0.02% of the population, I'll still be defending that because if you let one layer go back, they bring back the other one. After trans rights, it's going to be gay rights, and after gay rights, it's going to be black rights, or whatever. Sorry, I'm getting preachy. All right, we're hitting you with one last one, okay? And I love all of my beautiful, loving, sexually daring chatters who submitted questions but didn't get them answered, okay? Because there are so many of you. What is Shoe's take on Tulsi not supporting M for A?
Oh yeah, that's when she cemented the fact that she's my second choice.
Gotcha.
Well, she already was always, but then I'm just like, okay, I can't. Like, all of them, none of them support Medicare for all except Bernie now, as far as I'm aware. And that's one of my number one issues. And so when Tulsi backpedaled on it, that was really disappointing. Because she was her, Warren, and Bernie were the three that were still hanging on to Medicare for all. And so Bernie was my first, Tulsi was my second, Warren was my third. Warren and I liked Yang, but
Bernie's pulling ahead further and further every time everyone else compromises on a position.
Everyone is just disappointing me. Yeah.
No, I get you.
What do you think of Warren, by the way? What is your?
I don't like. Warren's a better candidate than Hillary. It's just it feels like everything's blurring together because we're talking about like minor policy differences between like neoliberals, and we're like facing down the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that of all the candidates available, Bernie is the only one who could implement substantive change, like significant enough to even have a chance of doing anything about it. I'm super
Mm-hmm.
tepid on everyone after Bernie, but I guess Warren would be my second.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Yeah,
not
that
a
makes
not a
sense.
fan of the Biden 2020 ticket.
No. He's gonna drop so badly when people actually start voting and it's not just like phone surveys.
What about what about the Delaniacs? Have you seen him jumping up and down on a
Oh
table?
yeah. Yep. Delaney swole Delaney.
Now those are legs that could sit for 6 minutes on those toilets. One last question, because I saw it and I'm actually genuinely curious. How do you feel about the decriminalization of sex work?
Oh, definitely for it.
Fuck yeah.
Legalization, I
Oh yeah,
think.
I always get them confused. I know it's my
Mhm.
whatever, the good one. Do whatever the good one is.
Yeah. um, yeah, I think it would help a lot. It would help sex workers, obviously. Like everything would just be better, especially like them doing business for themselves.
Yeah.
Um, you see it online, like freaking like cam girls and shit. Like they're doing their thing. Like I don't know, stuff like that.
I was gonna be a cam
I-
boy before the politics thing came up. That was my
Oh god.
that's still my backup. Okay, I've got a few chips on the table. You know. Hey, June, thank you so much for hopping on to talk.
Oh, no problem. This was fun. I was really nervous, but it was fun.
Yeah, let's not make it a 6 months between next time. Yeah. Actually, this
Yep,
time it's gonna be
sorry.
like 2 hours between. So,
Yeah,
if you want to talk later.
that's fine. Yep, this was fun.
Gotcha. Hey, I hope you have a phenomenal day. I'm probably going to talk to you later, so no need for a big goodbye, but
Yeah.
have a good one. And one last thing, trans rights,
Oh, yes, of course. Trans rights.
happy to hear it. You have yourself a wonderful day, okay? Get some lunch, I guess, because I'm going to.
Okay, bye.
Bye. And if after a conversation that good, anyone wants to give me shit for being friends with Shu again, fuck them. That was such a productive conversation. Holy shit.